Continuing on with these, let's close this one out. Let's jump into our folder again if it decides to work. There we go. Going back. The next one we want to open up is going to be these columns. These columns have a problem known as parallaxing. Whenever you take a photograph of something, especially if you're using a wide angle lens, the subject tends to curve just a little bit. And that's not a problem with the camera itself. That's just kind of the nature of the lenses. Luckily, Photoshop has some great tools to be able to open these up and edit them. As always, let's go up to File, down to Save As. We'll rename this Columns Working and put your name on it. Keep it as a Photoshop document and we'll say Save. And to correct this using a filter, we'll go up to Filter and let's choose Lens Correction. Now there's a bunch of different tools that you can play around with over here on the left-hand side, and there's some global corrections that can be done over here on the right-hand side. One of the things that I do recommend you turn on down here at the very bottom is Preview to get an idea of what's going to be done, and also Showing the Grid. Showing this grid, even though it may be a little bit small and hard to see, gives you the ability to see where the straight lines are versus the curved lines that are in your photograph. And so we want to be able to use this grid as a starting point. The final thing I'll say about this is when you go over to your Auto Correction tab, you can have it automatically save and scale this and set the edges to be either a certain color, or I usually like to keep it at transparent. Also, if you're photographing something with a known camera, Photoshop has a variety of different kinds of camera makes and models that you can choose from, and very often these newer model cameras will automatically save this information for you. So it'll automatically pick out the camera and adjust the appropriateness to make your photos look good. So very often, just using auto correction and selecting your camera lens profile is all you need to do. What we want to do is to choose Custom. Custom gives you full control over exactly what we want to set up. Since we have this almost barrel kind of effect of parallaxing, we want to remove this geometric distortion. You can click on the name of it and slide this up or down, and you can see how that's going to affect it. We're going to go all the way up of plus 52. To do that kind of distortion, and you can see how it starts to straighten everything up. It's still not 100% perfect, so in addition to this, let's also do a transformation for the horizontal perspective. Let's slide the horizontal perspective to be plus 14 or thereabout, and you can see how that shifts it. If you want to get a good before and after shot, you can click on the Preview checkbox and see what it looked like before and after in making your changes. Once we're ready to apply this, we can click on OK, and this will automatically apply that to our distortion. Now let's go up to File and save it, and say OK to the options and close that out. Next, let's find the Glass Start Photoshop document, and then we'll go up to File and Save As, rename it Working, and put your name on it. Do save. Now the thing to notice about this photograph is that there's two layers in the document, and the topmost layer has the beach in focus and the glass is a little bit blurry and out of focus. If you go down to the beach layer and turn off visibility, with the glass layer active, now you can see that the glass is in focus and the beach is out of focus. What we want to do is to be able to extend our depth of field so that it gets full control over what is in focus or not in focus. Now the first thing we need to do is you'll notice both of these layers are not aligned with each other. So in the Layers panel, turn on visibility for both of them, hold down the Shift key and select both of the layers. With both of them selected, you can go up to Edit and down to Auto Align the Layers. This will open up a little Auto Align dialog box, and we can keep it at automatic but uncheck both vignette and geometric distortion. We want to be able to move these around and place them just in a single plane. We'll say OK to this, and you can see how it automatically recognizes the edges and also which pixels are appropriate to overlap, and it puts one on top of the other. With both the layers still selected, we can go back up to Edit and choose Auto Blend Layers. Once again, these are going to be stacked images that are one on top of each other. It's going to take its time about looking for things. We do want to keep everything else nice and selected, but I'm going to turn off Content Aware for transparent since we don't need those. We'll say OK to this and give it a second to think. And what it's doing is it's looking at the pixels on one layer and seeing what's sharpen and focus and what's sharpen and focus on the other layers. And it's going to add a layer mask to the appropriate parts of each image that gives you the best results for blending them. With this done, all we need to do now is save it, and we can close it out and do our last one. This last one is the Bridge Start Photoshop file. And you can see that the train isn't on the tracks. They're both going off in two different perspectives. And so we want to be able to move this train and warp it so that it fits nicely on the train track area. When you open this up in Photoshop, of course we need to go to File and do a Save As, rename it from Start to Working with your name, and check out our Layers panel. That train is on its own separate layer from the background, and so it's two different things that we're trying to composite together on two separate layers. With the train layer still selected, we want to be able to warp this as if it's a 3D object. It's definitely got a front side and a little right-hand side. And so the type of warp we're going to be doing is under Edit, Perspective Warp. Now this does give you a little animation that you can watch, but essentially we need to establish where the two planes are and then move them around to edit and warp them. So the first thing we're going to do is let's do this side of the train. I'm going to start with the top of the smokestack and pull down and all the way down to the caboose, and I can click on these edges and line up the perspective for the train wheels. Try to keep this left-hand side as straight as possible and go into the caboose. We're going to get the top edges of that one and this also in line too. So now they're in a good little perspective that follows the edges of each line. If yours is off by a little bit, that's okay. With one edge established, we can also click and drag, and let's do this left-hand side. Notice that as they overlap, it'll highlight, and that'll let you change up the edge of this one as well. The main thing is we want to be able to warp this so that it looks the same thing in perspective. Once yours looks like this, we can go up to our control panel and swap from layout mode to warp mode. You can also choose this option to keep everything nice and parallel vertically. And again, you can watch the little animation, but essentially what we're doing is clicking on these edges and transforming this and moving it until the wheels start to align with the edge of the track. That's looking really good. Not too much we had to do on this front end, so it recognized that as one plane and this is another plane. Do try to make sure everything looks correct. We don't want it to be too skewed or too off. Keep everything nice and parallel. And once you get it looking nice on this one, simply hit the checkbox. You can see how it automatically updates this. Now, since that train layer was a smart object layer, at any time we can go back and fix this perspective warp by double-clicking on it, and it brings back up the options to be able to go back and transform it again. All right, with that being the last one, we'll go up to File and Save and close it out. And for this lesson, you'll be uploading all of the files that we created for our classroom page.